We're going to have a look now at what's making headlines in the French press this morning. Florence is here. Good morning, Flo. Of course, a lot of focus on Manuel Valls. He's got that speech to make today. We're going to find out more about where the government is going, and he'll face a confidence vote.
That's right. It's his first major policy speech. He's going to have to explain how he's going to breathe some fresh air into Hollande's presidency. Now, Libération, instead of focusing on what he's going to say in this speech, they're focusing on what he's not going to say today. Basically, a lot of things having to do with austerity, says Libération. He's expected to give a broad outline of Hollande's responsibility pact, this deal with business owners to boost employment. But part of that pact includes a plan to cut 50 billion euros in spending over the next 3 years. And Libération says that that's what he's not going to say, is where that money is going to come from. But in its editorial, it calls on Manuel Valls to be truthful during this speech. This editorial says, an honest speech has been promised to the French people for a very long time, but it's never been delivered, and none less than his credibility is on the line today.
Now, of course, Florence, there's no doubt that he will win the confidence vote, given the arithmetic in the French parliament. But his most difficult challenge will actually be rallying his own party and the left of it, most particularly around his plan.
Absolutely. 20 Minutes says that it's a question of confidence, because as you were saying, since the left has the majority in the lower house of parliament, there's no doubt about it, he's going to win this confidence vote. But you were saying the left is very divided. A lot of people within the left find him too right-wing for their liking, and he has to avoid ruffling any feathers with any tough talk, says 20 Minutes. L'Opinion, a pro-business paper, also points out that there have been calls for Valls to leftify his speech, if you will, to take a step to the left. And a lot is at play here. It's a defining moment for Valls, says L'Opinion. Le Figaro says it's his moment of truth today. He has to choose between the economic necessities that he's facing and the demands coming from his camp. And Le Figaro kindly has 3 words of advice for Manuel Valls today. The most important one is that he mustn't dilute his own convictions to please a certain wing of the Socialist Party, says Le Figaro. He needs to give the clear and daring speech that François Hollande has never had the courage to make.
What about the opposition UMP party and its reaction to all this?
Well, Le Figaro says that the UMP is paying very close attention to what's going on. This article says that they aren't going to give the socialists a break here. Every month, the UMP is going to publish a barometer of the government's actions regarding employment, security, the deficit, etc., to hold the government accountable. But if we take a look at an article in L'Humanité, so the communist paper, it explains that the UMP is actually in kind of an uncomfortable position because Manuel Valls is actually treading on their own turf. He's seen as being right-wing within the Socialist Party, and he's kind of cutting the grass from under their feet. He's actually quite popular on the right, so L'Humanité says the UMP is actually quite limited in its room for criticism.
Now, moving on from French politics, the absence of France at the 20th anniversary commemorations in Kigali yesterday is also being paid a lot of attention to in the French press.
That's right. It's getting a lot of attention. Relations between the countries are at an all-time low. The ambassador was actually barred from attending that ceremony. Now, a lot of papers are focusing on this. La Croix is focusing on the speech that the president, Paul Kagame, made. He once again attacked France for its attitude at the time of the genocide. You can read here the title. It says that Kagame once again accuses France. Le Figaro actually calls Kagame the man who doesn't like France. And it points out that he no longer hides his hostility towards France, or at least towards French leaders. France is his favorite enemy. France has become the ideal scapegoat, says Le Figaro, even though it does point out that France did play a very ambiguous role at the time. And this is the editorial in Le Monde today, which says it's really important for France to open up its archives to establish the truth once and for all. This is the only way, says Le Monde, for France to turn that page on its dark history.
Florence Rumino with a look there at what's making headlines in the French press. Thank you very much. 27 minutes past 7. We're going to take a really short break and I'll be right back with the headlines. Also with Focus, we'll be having a look across the border at one of the consequences of the Rwandan genocide, the 2 million Hutus who fled into the Democratic Republic of Congo. Our reporters went to meet some of the militiamen who even today remain self-proclaimed defenders of the Hutu refugees. That'll be in just a moment.